Hey everybody, it's your Sam again. I'm here with another video. I know this isn't my usual day, but seeing as how Thursday is Christmas and I would rather y'all spend time with your family if you're able to, rather than watching me doing this today. And I just kind of got this idea for a video, so here we are. I wasn't going to do 2 videos this week, but idea's an idea, right? Right. Today's video is going to be about some things I would like to see in a fantasy, or some things that I've seen too much of in a fantasy and I would just kind of like them turned on their head a little bit. If you have an idea, or if you would like to see something in fantasy, or you're tired of seeing something in fantasy, leave it in the comments down below, because I am really interested in finding out what you would like to see and what you hate seeing now or you've seen it too much. First things first, I like a truly average Joe or Jane being the main character. I'm not talking about the so-called average and then somehow they get these powers or this skill that puts them above average. I want to see a truly average person as a main character. Now this can be, you know, like a brown hair, black haired, blonde, or something like that. Not necessarily a fiery redhead, because we've seen those, but it's okay. You know, just an average person. They're not exceptionally beautiful. They're not exception at swordplay. They're not an exception at archery or anything like that. They are truly average. Sometimes it takes them a little while to think of something. Sometimes they're quick-witted, but some other times they're just stare at you like, huh? You know, a truly average person. I would really like to see that. And maybe 1 or 2 of the characters around them are a little bit above average, or maybe even below average, and they have to deal with whatever you're throwing at them in the fantasy world as average, or a little bit above average, or a little bit below average, instead of having someone that is like super powerful with them. To kind of go along with this whole average person thing, I would like a main character or some of the secondary characters have an actual job, and it not be a royal, it not be a blacksmith, something that we see a lot. I would like to see, why not, you know, the person who goes through the streets cleaning up horse mess or cattle mess or just messes of people. The street sweeper. Why not see that? Why not see not the farmer, maybe the person who delivers fertilizer to them, or maybe the person who buys some of the farmer's wares and takes it home because they can't quite grow things themselves and their family is suffering from it. Someone who's got an actual job, got actual cares. I saw this in Jenna Moresi's story and I just loved it, because her main character is that he has a job, he has to take care of his family, and then I like to see an average person who has an average job. Another thing is, and I know this is said a lot, I would like to see something that is not set in medieval Europe. I still love the idea of castles, and I still love the idea of characters being in castles and being in cobblestone streets, having broadswords and archery and stuff like that. But I would still like to see a culture in a fantasy world based off of something that is not medieval Europe. Something maybe based off of Native Americans. Something I would really love. Something based off of Native Americans, to tell you the honest truth. I would eat that up. Maybe Persian. Maybe African. Maybe something, it's still European or close to European, but something Scandinavian. You know, just something other than medieval Europe. And I'm talking eras here, you know, something that's close to medieval, but just maybe surrounding it. There's still horses, there's still carts, there's still wagons, there's still swordplay and archery and stuff like that. It's still around that time frame, but it's a little different. It's a little bit more progressed, or maybe it's a little less progressed. They're still nomadic. Something. Clan of the Cave Bear. I would like to see another Clan of the Cave Bear era fantasy. That would be amazing to me. Another thing I would like to see is seeing stereotypes kind of tossed on their head. Yeah, dwarves are stocky and they're bearded, but maybe in that fantasy culture that's seen more beautiful than the willowy type elves. Maybe beards are held in a higher regard than clean shaven. Maybe stocky is seen in a higher regard than willowy. I mean, you know, come on. Not all cultures wanted skinny to be beautiful. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fat kid myself, but I mean, I would kind of like to see someone who is bigger boned or a little bit on the obese side being respected and still loved and still cared for and held in a higher regard than someone who is skinny. Yeah, I'm gonna toss that out there. I would like to see some pretty orcs, or maybe a race that is considered orcish, but you know, not necessarily orc, be the main characters in a story, and they are seen as beautiful, they're seen as respectable, they're seen as normal, whereas something as that was considered pretty or would be considered pretty is not seen as normal or pretty. I like to see those stereotypes kind of flipped on their head. I'd like to see something considered pretty that is not usually considered pretty, or something that is considered as extravagant or abnormal that's not really usually considered abnormal or extravagant. Stereotypes tossed on their heads. I would also like to see more of nature or the world as an antagonist to the main character. I kind of get this in my current reads, the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I would like to see more of it. I would like to see nature being the evil, you know, and it's not because nature is evil, it's just because natures and humans don't always get along. I would like to see nature or the world as the antagonist more often. Another thing that I would like to see is romance growth. I love me a little subplot or even a major plot of romance in a fantasy book, but more often than not, it's just kind of thrown out there. It's not really nurtured. Some of the like friends to lovers or enemies to lovers is because you have to have that tension, you have to have that build up, and I love those. I absolutely love those. But when it's like just a stranger to lover, or then it's not really built upon very well. It's kind of just you meet the character in one chapter and 5 chapters later, you know, they're already in bed. I mean, I know it happens, it's natural, you know, the natural attraction is there, but I would like to see more build up. I would like to see some areas where they're learning about each other and it's surprising to them the person would think that way, or the person would do something like that. You know, maybe they put their shoes on wrong or odd, you know, maybe they tie their shoes odd or something, and the main character finds that as weird, and there's comments and there's a conversation about that. I mean, you know, little moments like that kind of put in throughout the book that builds on that romance, that builds on that tension, that builds on that learning of one another. I would like to see more of that instead of a little time skip and all of a sudden they're like best friends. I get it for time and space, but I would really like to see just little scenes like that. And another thing, I would like to see color depicted differently. And what I mean by this is oftentimes evil is seen as black or red. maybe some green in there. And good is always seen as white or yellow or blue. Gray is always like the middle section there. I would like to kind of see that tossed up a little bit. You know, it's a new world, it's a created world, so why would evil be red there as it is here? Why not blue? Why not green? Or give a reason as to why red is considered evil. You know, maybe sunburns are considered the bane of these people's existence, or sunburns are actually the most evil thing on the planet, and that's the reason why red is evil. Maybe there's glowy blue eyes, or glowy purple eyes, or glowy white eyes following a character instead of glowy red eyes. You know, I mean, why is red always considered evil? I like the color red. It can be a good color. It would be just interesting. It would make a reader like me just pause and go, ooh, that's new. I like this. This is a new way of thinking. I think we've come a long way with diversity in fantasy, but I would really like to see more. But I think people are working on it, and I think it's going to be awesome in the next, 2-3 years, whenever the people that are writing now are actually published. I can't wait for that. So I want to see more diversity, but I have a hope that it's coming, and I see it more often now. So I'm going to kind of hold back on saying something like that, but if I revisit this in the next 5 years and there's not more diversity, then because the people who are writing now and the people who are pro-diversity now, because we're taking that turning point, if for some odd reason there's not more, I'm going to be highly disappointed, and I will revisit it, and it probably will be in a list. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see how diversity is written in fantasy in the next coming up years, and even now, because I know there's a lot of fantasy books on my to-read list that have a lot of diversity in them, and I just can't wait to get to them. I think that's it. I think that's all I have. Again, I don't have any tropes that I really, really hate, that I don't want to see, really. I'm easy to please, usually. Again, in the comments, let me know what you would like to see or what you absolutely hate seeing in fantasy books, because I'm really interested. As always, be kind to one another, watch out for each other, and smile about something today. And I hope you have an amazing set of holidays coming up, or you have been having an amazing set of holidays, depending on what you believe and what you celebrate. And yeah, I will see you in my next video.